Welcome to another episode of Off the Menu. I'm Vincent Franchini from Tumblr House, here with the pre-transcontinental Charles Coulombe.
Pre-transcontinental.
That's right. You're almost transcontinental, but you're still in the earlier stages.
So I'm sort of transcontinental trading.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, I can see that. Yeah, it's hard to believe that in a few short weeks I'll say goodbye to all of this. Goodbye, all of this. It'll be exciting.
Yeah.
You know how they've been celebrating in the secretarial pool my forthcoming departure?
How?
Shredding documents.
Why? Why would they do that?
I have no idea. Maybe it has something to do with you becoming president of the company. I don't know.
Maybe. You know, I don't know what goes down there, you know.
You better find out one day. You're going to be president. You know, I somehow your brother always knew. He always had his finger on every department from his web of whatever it was up in the penthouse upstairs. He always knew what was going on. He had his people. You're going to have to assert the same kind of dominance over this company.
That's true. Yeah, I need to rule with an iron fist.
No, exactly. You need a reign of terror as soon as I'm gone.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, I do have to thank the, I'm sure they're feeling my departure. I want to thank the cooks in the commissary for today's tuna casserole.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's the freshest Campbell's mushroom soup I've ever had in a casserole. It was really good. And they used vegetable and chicken of the sea tuna. It was great.
Yeah, freshly opened?
Freshly opened. Not quite in front of me, but they assured me it was done after they finished with the lunch, not lunch, but the breakfast crowd. So, by the way, they're getting a new shipment of powdered eggs, too, for breakfast. So, what's, you don't like the Tumblr House commissary powdered scrambled eggs?
No, they're not my cup of tea. But
Well,
I don't
eggs.
have to suffer that anymore.
Well, no, you don't. Now you're going to have everything sent to you directly from the executive dining room upstairs.
That's right.
That's you'll be able to have eggs Benedict every day, eggs Hussar if you want. You're going to be living large.
Yeah.
This is hot. This is great stuff. Well, you know, I wish you every luck. I'm not quite gone yet. In case you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first of the 3 last broadcasts. That is to say, there'll be one this week, which you're watching even as we speak. Following Monday, there will be the penultimate broadcast. And then 2 weeks after that, after this, will be
The final.
the finale, or the finale, as some mistakenly call it. I understand that there's going to be all sorts of stuff for the finale. A brass band, dancers, liturgical dancers, in fact.
You know, I'll just say this, you know, it's going to be an incredibly special finale, and we're going to do something that I've wanted to do ever since Off the Menu has started.
Wow, you want me to make sense?
Well, you always make sense, Charles.
All right, I feel good.
Or most
about
of the
that.
time.
Most of the time. I feel good about that. Well, I am getting very, what's the word I want? Nostalgic, even though we haven't stopped yet.
Yeah.
But it's been a fun 2 years.
Yeah, it has.
Oh well, all good things must come to an end, ladies and gentlemen, even the Boy Scouts. But let's see what we have on the questions this time.
Okay, so you guys say you want more Charles Coulombe? You got it.
As much as you can get, anyway.
This episode, I've got written down 20 questions for Charles. 20 questions. Okay?
Would it help if I said, I don't know, I don't care, no, yes, leave me alone? Or
that would be expeditious, but I think Tyrone's going to have a busy week if you do that.
Oh, gosh.
I think there's going to be people, disgruntled people.
You know what's really upsetting about Tyrone, too? When people hear his name and his job, they expect he's going to be this big black guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little short Chinese fellow. But, yeah, I think you saw Into the Badlands one too many times. Because, you know,
Yeah.
whole karate thing.
Right.
Jackie Chan, I think is his, or Chan, Jackie Chan, is his idol.
Jackie Chan isn't into the Badlands.
No, I know he isn't.
Oh,
but
okay.
I mean, he's constantly doing these weird karate moves and all that.
Yeah.
But he loves Into the Badlands.
Yeah.
He calls your brother Baron. I wonder if he's going to start doing that with you.
Do you watch that show, Charles?
Yeah, of course I watch it.
Wow.
I sit there in the security shack with Tyrone and the rest of them, and we binge watch Into the Badlands.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah, well, it's I got to tell you, they're very excited about it, but it does. I mean, some people should really not watch so much TV. As I say, it's calling your brother Baron, calling you the young Baron. It's weird.
I never started that. It's mostly fight scenes, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll
Really
say.
cool fight
Why
scenes.
do you think Tyrone does this stuff? You know, and as I say, I think he has something to live up to or live down or whatever with his name. And people, as I say, they come to when I say Tyrone is going to deal with you, if you don't cut it out, they don't. And they look up expecting a big, hulking black guy. Now comes this little Chinese fellow, and they make fun, and the next thing you know, they're doubled over on the ground. Clash of the stereotypes, that's all I can say.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Mm. Well, what do we got?
All right, first question is from Tom Levin.
All right.
I started reading the book Vincent mentioned, The Search for Melchizedek. In it, someone theorizes some pagan deities worshipped were good angels mistaken for deities. In a previous show, Charles said it was not possible for pagan gods to have been angels preparing the way for God because God's angels would have been truthful. Is the theory valid?
Yeah. I mean, look, if a being appears to you and says that he's God, he's lying. But if a being appears to you, preternatural powers, does all sorts of stuff, and you decide he is a god, that's another story. I could well see, especially given our fallen nature, people deifying angels after seeing what they do. But if said angel claimed divine honors for himself, he would be obviously a fallen angel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it that really that big of a stretch? I mean, people deify other humans.
Yeah.
So.
Deify anything. Deify liberty and freedom. We do.
Yeah, no, we
They
do.
deify choice. As long as you can choose, it doesn't matter what you choose, as long as you can choose.
I know. I was thinking about that, with the whole euthanasia thing,
Mm-hmm.
well, as if you kill yourself, that's not bad, it's crazy to think about it because according to these things, there were two things wrong with the Holocaust or any mass murder. It's that you didn't choose and that there's suffering.
Yeah.
But if you have those two things, then I guess murder's okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. We are insane. What else we got?
Next question is from Matt. What is your take on the Charismatic Movement? Personally, I think they're kind of weird, and they didn't help me when I apostatized a few years back. But I know a lot of serious, devout people who are very into it. Also, what specifically is the Charismatic Movement?
The Charismatic Movement is the importation into Catholicism starting about 1967, I think, at Notre Dame University. Not Notre Dame, it's good American, Notre Dame.
Okay.
In South Bend, Indiana, of what is called Pentecostalism. Now, Pentecostalism was an originally purely Protestant movement, started right here in L.A. in the late 19th century, the famous Azusa Street revival, where people started speaking in tongues and rolling around on the floor and barking like dogs. And one of the vulgar names for the Pentecostals is Holy Roller. What? You don't like Holy Roller?
Holy Roller's nice.
Okay. Well, anyway. So the Azusa Street revival, Azusa Street, where it took place, is now in Little Tokyo. It's a little alley But if you make your way down there, you will be standing in the middle of the place of origin of one of the biggest religious movements on the earth in the history of mankind. So, Catholics had nothing to do with it until '67, when they were a group of Catholics at Notre Dame were given the gift of the Spirit, and they began speaking in tongues, rolling around on the floor, and doing all that. Now, I have to say that I have thought a great deal about this stuff, because it's not as prominent, I don't think, as it was when I was younger, but it's still around. The problem I've always had with it is the idea of giving yourself over completely to an outside force. And the photographs, the films I've seen of Southern Pentecostalists writhing around and barking and talking, it reminds me very much of a similar film of voodoo devotees in Haiti being ridden by their deities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying that's what it looked like to me. I don't know. There are some very devoted people in it. But I've always been very suspicious of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, since the church is not ruled definitively on it, neither can I.
Okay. Next question is from Seamus O'Habsburg.
Oh my.
He says, "Dear Charles, who would be King of Ireland today? We Irish have never been unified under one sovereign. If you say the German dragon lady in Windsor, who is actually a Saxburg Gotha, you won't make it to Vienna. P.S. Is it moral to use pseudonyms on the internet? The question isn't for me. It's for my friend Louis Bourbon de la Habsburg Romanov de Savoy."
Well, let me answer the second question first.
Okay.
You'll go to hell.
If you use a pseudonym
Yeah,
on the internet?
absolutely. You go straight to hell. Everyone knows that. It was decided at the Synod of Hollywood in 2173. The year 2173.
Okay.
So it's already been decided, and Seamus, if you come after me, you'll go to hell. Just so you know. Now to answer the first question. Well, Elizabeth would certainly be, if the Irish Republic were reunited with Northern Ireland under the crown of Great Britain, Elizabeth would be the first choice as Queen of Ireland. If, however, you go by the Jacobite accounting, which means that Franz, Duke in Bavaria, is really de jure King Francis of England, Scotland, and Ireland, then it would be he. But let's say that instead of either of those people, you were keen on restoring the old Irish system. It's not true to say that they didn't have a single king. They had a high king, who was king over all the other kings of Ireland. And the high king ruled over the four provincial kings, the kings of Ulster, Connaught, Munster, and Leinster. Now, each of them, in turn, ruled under a bunch of local kings, district kings.
Wow, that's a lot of kings.
It's a lot of kings, which is why everybody with the name O something or other is descended from a line of kings.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it almost doesn't mean anything. When everybody's a king, nobody's a king.
Every man a king.
Yeah, or as that's what our friend Huey Long said. Every man a king, but no one wears a crown.
Yeah.
With the Irish, as I say, you had these four provincial kingdoms. Each of them had a royal family.
Uh-huh.
Ulster was O'Neill. Connaught was O'Connor. Munster was O'Brien. And Leinster was McMurrough Kavanagh. Now, the High King, when the Irish emerged from the fogs of history, the first High King was an O'Neill. The kings of Ulster were the High Kings of Ireland. Now, regardless of which family was High King, the seat of the High King was always on the hill of Tara, Tara of the Kings, the harp that once through Tara's halls, all that. Which gave its name of entry to Scarlett O'Hara's birthplace plantation.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Well, you remember her father was an Irishman.
That's true.
Kate Scarlett O'Hara. And then she was going home to Tara. I won't think about that today. I'll think about it tomorrow. So, but Tara, the plantation, got its name from Tara of the Kings in Ireland.
Mm.
And then when St. Patrick appeared, he lit the Paschal fire at the Hill of Slane across from the Hill of Tara, getting the king's attention.
Mm-hmm.
That king was an O'Neill.
Yeah.
The most famous of them was Niall of the Nine Hostages, who was the founder of the O'Neill clan. But eventually, the O'Neills lost the crown, the high kingship, to a fellow called Brian Boru.
Mm-hmm.
And he, of course, was an O'Brien of Munster. But then the O'Briens, at a time subsequent to that, lost it to the O'Connors in Connaught. And one of them found himself in the midst of a dynastic dispute. So he called in English help.
Okay.
And at the same time, the Pope, who was not happy with the way the Church in Ireland was falling apart, made the King of England Lord of Ireland. That was in the 1100s. So these Anglo-Normans came pouring into Ireland. Most of them got Gaelicized pretty quickly, which is where you get people with names like Fitzgerald, which Fitz is Norman, meaning son of.
Yeah.
So, but they got Gaelicized and spoke Gaelic and all that. And they were the same thing religiously. Now, where am I going with all this, you ask? Well, I suppose that a third candidate would be the heir to the High Kingship of Ireland. Who is that, you ask?
Who?
Funny you should ask. The O'Connor, the head of the House of O'Connor, is a gentleman called O'Connor Donn. That's his title. The head of the House of Ulster is Don Hugo O'Neill, whose family fled to Spain with the flight of the Earls. In Munster would be my Lord Inchiquin, the head of the House of O'Brien. And Leinster would be Murray Kavanagh, who are not noble at the moment except Gaelic. So now you know.
Okay. Next question is from Juan Pedro de Habsburgo.
Oh gosh, don't tell me. That's certainly not a pseudonym. All right, what would Don Pedro like?
He saes essence energies distinctions and Palamism, is it heresy? So what is that essence energy distinctions?
Oh gosh. It has to do with the uncreated light of Mount Tabor and the nature of Christ and all sorts of things. Honestly, I don't know enough to comment. I don't think the Church has ever condemned Palamism. I know that Palamism has been used as an excuse by various Eastern Orthodox to attack Catholicism. But I also know that in recent years there's been a rehabilitation of Gregory Palamas as a saint in the Catholic Church, not just by Eastern Catholics. So I have to give the very unsatisfying answer of I don't know.
I see. I was actually talking with a guy you did a Theology on Tap with, Robert Thomas.
Dr. Robert Thomas.
Dr. Robert, yeah. I was talking to him and he was explaining to me this exact thing, where I guess essence and energies are two aspects of God, and the way we understand God, the way we interact with Him, the tangible things are the energies, His energies, but we can't know or feel His essence, the actual essence that's someplace apart. That's as I understand it. And it's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting thought when it comes to the Father and the Holy Spirit. But I think it would get things more complicated with Jesus, because what's the essence of Jesus? I mean, is that also unknowable? It's interesting. Yeah.
No doubt, but it's all beyond me.
Yeah.
Above my pay grade.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe after I complete my course in Austria, I'll be able to tell you all about it.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, next question is from Anthony Giovacchini. All of my family and friends are outside of the Catholic Church. When they die, am I still permitted to have masses offered for their souls despite their position against the Church? This is haunting me.
You have every reason for it to haunt you, so I don't blame you. The answer is, traditionally, one did not have any public prayers for those who died outside of the Church. Obviously, you can pray privately that something happened that we don't know about. You have private masses said for their intention. If said person is not in a position to derive any benefit from your prayers or the masses, then they will without fail go to someone who can use them. So if Aunt Fanny is frying, they'll go to some other person, quite possibly someone you don't even know.
So is it possible? I don't know if this is a matter of faith or not. Is it possible if someone is in hell, but then you pray for them and then it flips the switch?
Not if they're in hell. Once you go to hell, it's permanent. It's like moving to Philadelphia.
Okay. I see. And that's something that immediately is decided when we die.
Yeah.
Where we're going. Yeah.
But everything that has ever been or ever will be is taken into that decision. So in other words, you have a mass said for your Aunt Fanny, and sometime shortly before she dies, she realizes it was a mistake to turn my nose on the Catholic Church. They know what they're talking about. And then she dies.
Okay.
Well, the grace that led her to that realization stems from the mass that came after her death.
It came after her death.
Exactly.
What is that? That's interesting. So future happenings can give people the grace?
They sure can.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Well, you gotta bear in mind the whole time issue. For God, time does not exist. Before Abraham was, I am.
Isn't that...
So you can pray for the salvation of people who have died, but for whom the exact outcome was not known.
That almost seems deterministic. Like if somebody is converting because of prayers that I'm destined to say?
That you will already have said.
Well,
in a sense.
That I've already said in a sense, but it hasn't happened as we know it.
As we know it. But it already has happened in time as God experiences it.
So, okay, well, again, the whole determinism thing, it almost seems deterministic as far as we go, but not deterministic as far as God goes.
No, not at all. Because you're exercising your free will on behalf of that person. Wow. You didn't have to do it. And see, for God, everything is now. It's all at once. What he called creation into being, the whole tapestry, from what we experienced as some form of the Big Bang, down to what we will experience as the final judgment. That's all spread out as one big now for God. Time and space are one, which is why he can operate throughout them as effortlessly as you're able to operate on the kitchen dining table.
Wow, that's hard to fathom.
I know it's hard to fathom. Reality is a strange place.
Wow. Okay. Next question is from Alex Vinciguerra. Or Vinciguerra. I'm sorry. I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation. He asks, would you please go over the fall of the Templar Order, especially why it was so easy for King Philip to bring them down? I thought they were pretty powerful by then. And also, why are they associated today with groups and conspiracies like the Freemasons?
Yeah, the Freemasons. Why? Several reasons. Firstly, the Templars were one of the, 3 or 4 or 5 major knightly orders founded in the Holy Land to fight the Turks. All right? You had the Templars, who were the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
The Knights Hospitalier, who survived today as the Order of Malta. The Teutonic Knights, who survived today as the Teutonic Knights. The Order of St. Lazarus, who may or may not survive today, depending on who you talk to. Now, the Order of St. Lazarus, interestingly enough, was recruited from leper knights.
Leper knights?
Leper knights. Knights who contracted leprosy. And they would often charge without any weapons, just bits and pieces of them falling off.
Are you serious?
Quite serious. And I can tell you that the Saracens never appreciated a charge by the Knights of St. Lazarus. It was pretty horrific. Chunks falling off here and there, you know.
I mean, that's like a new level of kamikaze or something.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, look, they weren't going to live anyway. They were on their way out. So why not give your last breath for God and King?
Wow.
They did. The other thing that was funny about the Order of St. Lazarus is that because they were so, I mean, all of these orders were hospitalier orders originally, but because of the special needs of so many of their members, the Lazarus stayed with it, and they became very adept at what we call today pharmacopoeia, that is to say, drugs. And now in continental Europe, the Green Cross, which is the symbol of the Order of St. Lazarus, whenever you see a Green Cross, it means it's a pharmacy. Now, in California, it's a pot dispensary. And so I know members of the order here in LA, and I always congratulate them on their wise acquisition of real estate, although I wonder why it's in such dumpy neighborhoods, you know. But anyway, that's the Order of St. Lazarus. So the Lazarus, and then there was the Order of the Holy Sepulchre, which were like the King of Jerusalem's private guard. So the Templars were the Red Cross Knights. The Hospitallers were the White Cross Knights. The Teutonic Knights were the Black Cross Knights. And Lazarus were the Green Cross Knights. So, what happened was that in 1291 the Holy Land fell to the Turk completely. There were several horrible massacres of Christian civilians in places like Accra and Lake Tiberias, which the Muslims have not yet apologized for. But I guess that was...
Do they apologize? Have they ever apologized for anything?
No. But we know it's only Christians who do bad things. Anyway, but all of the orders were left with having to redefine their mission. If they weren't going to be in the Holy Land fighting the Saracen, what were they going to do? Well, the Hospitallers took to the sea and became the Knights of Rhodes, and after that the Knights of Malta, and spent their time fighting the Barbary pirates, which they did a very good job at. The Teutonic Knights first went to the Transylvanian frontier to fight the Turk, and then from there went up to the Baltic coast to subjugate the pagans there and Christianize them. Everybody found something to do with themselves except the Templars, who had a large amount of land and property and money across Western Europe. They weren't fighting anybody anywhere.
Okay.
But they did serve as bankers.
Bankers? The church condemned usury.
Well, it wasn't a huge interest. I mean, what they lost in specific cases, they made up for in volume.
Okay.
To put this another way, if you've got a ton of people paying you money at 1% interest, that's still a lot more than anybody else will make off anything. And they had a lot of money, a lot of gold and so forth. Anyway, what should happen but that King Philip the Fair of France, Philip V, became enamored of their wealth. And then they, how do I put this? At that point, the Pope was completely dependent on him because the Pope's predecessor, Boniface VIII, had been attacked by King Philip the Fair and had died because of his abuse. So the new Pope was nicely lodged in Lyon and was there to do the king's bidding, Clement V. So between them, they decided to condemn the Templars. And in all the countries of Europe, that condemnation was echoed. The only countries where they escaped and where the local king reorganized them were in Aragon, where they became the Knights of Montesa, and Portugal, where they became the Knights of Christ. Well, meanwhile, that was the end of the Templars. However, when Freemasonry got underway in the 1600s, they looked around for any anti-Catholic thing they could find. And the whole mythos of the Templars being condemned by the church seemed like just the thing to work in. So they did their best to build that up. But then there was a little group in 1970, I guess, a small group of Catholics in Italy who decided they wanted to live the Templar life. In other words, they didn't claim to be the descendants of the Templars in any way. But they would live like Templars, live the Templar vocation. And so they were given the title Militia Christi, Militia of Christ, just like the Templars, and are with us to this day.
that Order of Lazarus, that still bothers me. That have daggers on, have something.
Oh yeah, they if they could wield them, sure.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, if you don't have two hands, you don't have any hands.
Okay, just have something to defend yourself.
They
Anything.
have no bodies. Come to me, my little Arab of love. Ah!
While we're on this, I have actually a random impromptu question based off things I've been hearing. It's on Saladin.
Saladin.
Now, it seems a lot of people, a lot of Christians, do they respect Saladin for being a good guy? Was he an honorable guy?
For being a good soldier, yeah.
Because
it was a matter of chivalry to respect a chivalrous opponent.
Okay, because I see people putting him and Richard the Lionheart on par, like the two rock stars.
Well, I mean, just purely in the sense of combat, sure. But there's a very interesting medieval story where this Catholic knight is conquered and Saladin is questioning him.
Uh-huh.
And so he questions him about chivalry. And he tells him great detail what chivalry is about. He says, well, could you make me a knight so I can partake in this? And he says, no, I cannot, because you do not have the light of baptism. So they made a distinction between their respect for him as a human being and their knowledge of him as a non-Catholic.
Didn't he hold the true cross of Christ's ransom, though?
He did. And we never got it back.
Is that chivalrous?
No. But it was better than destroying it.
I mean, I don't understand how you can reconcile that with chivalry, and it seems like he enjoyed killing people.
He did. And a lot of the knights enjoyed killing people. They were good at what they did.
Was that chivalrous?
It depends on who they were killing. No, I'm not being funny.
Okay.
It depends on who they were killing. When you're dealing with with a robber baron, and his men have been raping and murdering and stealing, I've hated that enemies with a holy anger.
Holy anger?
Mm-hmm. That's from the book of Isaiah.
Yeah, well, in theory, I think holy anger, it's kind of a blanket to cover a lot of anger that isn't holy.
I agree with you 100%. But I'm just telling you, that was the way it was.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
What else we got?
Okay. Next question is from Phil Gonzalez.
Okay.
I would very much love to hear what Our Lady of the Snows is all about. I heard you speak of it with such reverence in a past episode. So what is that? Our Lady of the Snows.
I'm not telling. No. Basically, going back to the 300s or 400s in Rome. On a hill in Rome,
the what?
On a hill in Rome.
Oh.
This property was owned by a couple who had been told by someone or other that Our Lady wanted a church built there in her honor. Well, they refused to believe it until the snow fell in August of the exact section that she wanted. Meanwhile, Pope Liberius had a vision of Our Lady who explained that she wanted a church built where the snow had fallen. So Liberius came out to inspect the hill, and sure enough, there was the snow in the middle of August in Rome. So he was taken aback, and he said, all right, well, we'll build it here. And that is the Basilica of St. Mary Major, Santa Maria Maggiore. But in it, you will see things like the remnants of the crib from Bethlehem, what do you call it? The table of the Last Supper, I think.
Oh, wow.
Just the top part. And you will find, although that might be in St. John Lateran, but you'll find wood from the, wood, as I said, from the cradle of Bethlehem. St. Maria Maggiore is very much a Christmas church.
Ah, yes.
So, but its foundation goes back to the vision of both Liberius and the couple, and the miraculous snowfall on the hill.
Okay.
All right.
Next question is from CWM.
Coulombe in Welsh. What's Coulombe?
Oh.
CWM
that's
is Coulombe.
right.
Yeah. So what's Coulombe got to say?
Why did the Israelites want a king? How did the government work in Israel before the kings? Would the system work in today's society?
Well, they wanted a king because they were smart.
They were smart?
They had been ruled by judges. And over time, although Samuel was the greatest of them, and the last, a lot of these judges were corrupt. Now,
Sounds familiar.
well, you can ask, how does this work in our country? Well, we're ruled by judges. We don't got no king. We got us judges. And they can give us gay marriage and infanticide and birth control and euthanasia. Because they're judges. And God appoints them directly from on high. Mr. Justice Kennedy, Madam Justice Ginsburg, they are Samuel for us. And that's why whatever oozes out of their little liplets becomes the law, which we all must obey, because it comes directly from God. So if you want to know how that would work, look upon their works, O mortals, and despair.
It's one of my favorite poems.
My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. It would be in this case. My name is Anthony Kennedy, Queen of Queens. Look upon my work, ye mortals, and despair. Not that I'm bitter.
Not that you're bitter.
No.
Okay, so you're saying the Israelites were basically like us, and they wanted a king.
Yeah. No, they were smarter.
They were smarter.
They wanted a king.
Yeah.
We want what we got, because it's so good. And then we get to go to the polls and pretend it means something. Isn't that wonderful? And we can tell ourselves that we count for something.
We did count for some.
Of course we do. We pay.
We brought Trump in.
Yeah.
We made a difference.
For now.
Oh, so now for now. Oh, so you're saying in the short term you can make a difference, but in the long term, that's...
We'll see. Nobody will be happier than me if Trump proves me wrong.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. If Trump makes a real difference and somehow, some way, magically resurrects constitutional government, brings back children from the dead, marriage from the brothel, and humanity from the brink, then, you bet, then I'll say this man was sent from God to preserve the people of God, also called the Americans. But,
A lot of people, and perhaps I am one of them, believe that Trump won because, like, the whole United States was praying for him to win.
well, yeah, and fair call. What I'm saying is that we will see, like for instance, we've got this election coming up in November. If the Republicans lose the House, things will change rapidly. And if they lose the Senate, he'll be impeached. Then the double-anus people will open their mouths, and truth will pour out like so much excrement.
Sad.
It's just how people's die.
I don't want to think about that. I want to think.
I
want to think happy thoughts.
Go to your happy place.
Yeah.
All right, you have your happy place firmly fixed in your head?
Yes.
All right, retreat there, close the door. Repeat after me. There's nothing bad.
There's nothing bad.
All is good.
All is good.
I am happy.
I am happy.
Now I can open that door and face whatever's out there.
Now I can open that door and face whatever's out there.
All right, take a deep breath. Let it out. Put your hand on the doorknob. Open it up. Look out. Isn't everything better now?
I'm happy.
Good. See? All right, let's go on.
Okay, next question is from Tom. I've been watching your show on YouTube for about a half a year, and I've got your book Star Spangled Crown.
Thank you.
Which I've enjoyed thoroughly.
Thank you again.
Unfortunately, the world you depicted in it has only deepened my hunger for other royalist-themed fiction. Sadly, other than one story that worked more like a spy thriller about the restoration of the Russian Tsar, in which the Tsar-to-be was incidental and was only come across at the very end of the story, I've never come across any fiction about a modern royal restoration or a modern monarchy reasserting their power. Have you ever come across any, and if you have, would you recommend them?
Not many, but R.A. Lafferty wrote a critical set of novels about revolution called, the one of which is in my head, it is called The Flame is Green. The fellow who wrote On the Beach, I can't think of his name, was Anglo-Australian, wrote a book called Into the Wet, or In the Wet, in which, in the future, the Queen, now mind you, the story takes place in the late 40s, early 50s.
Mm-hmm.
But in the future, the Queen, who's still around then, and mind you, that's 20 years later, so it's in the 60s. Now, we're 2018, and the Queen is still around. Just to give this some understanding, ladies and gentlemen, the Queen has been Queen since 1952.
That's unbelievable.
It's a long time.
Yeah. Has there ever been a longer reign?
She was the longest reigning monarch ever in England.
Incredible.
She is...
She still looks good, too.
Yeah, she still looks good. That's why my friend Seamus Habsburg there, don't say bad things about a lady that old. You know, it's not chivalrous, it's not polite. Even if you don't like her ancestry, you don't like her, she's been around a lot longer than you have, and has seen a lot more than you have.
Oh yeah, he called her the German dragon lady in Windsor, who was actually a Saxburg Gotha.
Now that's true, she is actually a Saxe-Coburg Gotha. That is true. You got that right. No blame. But use some respect, you know? I mean, it's not like she brought in abortion and birth control and gay marriage to her country. Ireland. Anyway, I'm sorry, that came out wrong. What I meant was, so in that particular story, she gets sick and tired of the Labour government in England. So she appoints a Governor General to England and spends her time flying around the Commonwealth. You know.
Okay.
And England just becomes another dominion like Canada and Australia and all that. I could recommend to you The Two Georges by Harry Turtledove and, who's that actor who is a redheaded fellow who's in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Richard Dreyfuss?
Yes. Richard Dreyfuss and Harry Turtledove wrote a book called The Two Georges, which is a mystery set in an alternate universe where the revolution did not happen. Instead, George III and George Washington came to an agreement. George Washington went to London, and there's a big portrait of their meeting, which is called The Two Georges. And it's the symbol of Anglo-American unity. And it gets stolen. And the chief suspects are, of course, Irish nationalists, who are taking a break from pushing for birth control and abortion and divorce and gay marriage and stuff, and going after the painting instead. You may remember in my own Star Spangled Crown, the biggest source of opposition were what I called the Orange-Green Lodges.
Yeah.
Which were...
You mixed.
They mixed. The Orangemen hated the king because he was Catholic. And the Irish nationalists hated him because he was a king. And so they had more in common with each other.
Yeah.
Like that. Anyway, they made funny noises. That's why you didn't want to drink too heavily with them. Anyway, the point is, there's another book Although it's 19th century, but it's great fun. It's been made into movies several times, called The Prisoner of Zenda. And I recommend it highly. So, there you go.
Okay. Next question is from Joshua. Greetings.
Hello.
I purchased and am reading Sean Leslie's Ghost Book.
Hey! What?
No, what? It's great. Great
Okay.
book. We're getting that around toward that time again.
Yeah, it is. Spooky time.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
What is table rapping, as mentioned in the Ghost Book? Table rapping.
Well, table rapping is one of the ways that, according to the spiritualists and seance goers, that the spirits can make themselves known. So imagine you've got a bunch of people at a seance, which Catholics are forbidden to do, by the way. You're, as he makes clear in the book.
Right.
You've got a series of people around a table, we join hands. One of the ways that the spirits will make themselves known, supposedly, is...
Knocking on the table.
Yeah, from under.
Yeah.
So you say that's 1 rap for yes and 2 for no. Are you on Fanny? Do you know where you hid the money? Like
Interesting. Okay. Wow, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it is. It's very creepy. That's why you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. His second question. Given that all civilizations came from Noah's family, which pagan culture do you think has retained most of the original revelation, if that's the proper term?
Yeah, it is. Well, there are chunks of it that you see here and there in more or less undigested pieces. One of them is the whole notion of the Trinity, which reappears time and time again.
And a lot.
Yeah. But I would say probably the Persians.
The Persians?
Yeah.
Why?
Because their Zoroastrianism was originally monotheistic. It became dualistic when they decided that Satan was just as powerful as God.
We get a lot of questions on Zoroastrianism.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's a fascinating religion.
Okay. All right, next question is from Glenn Forbes. Dear Charles, I recently bought a small statue of Our Lady of Fatima. Does such a statue need to be blessed by a priest before it is avowed sacramental? P.S. For Vincent, I would like to recommend the great novel, The Devil Hates Latin, by Catherine Galgano. With a title like that, you know it's good. You ought to publish it and give me 20% of the profits. Or answer 10 of my questions. Cheers. Well, we already sell Devil Hates Latin. It's published by Regina Magazine Press, or Regina Press. I haven't read it yet. This is on my to-read list, but Beverly Stevens is doing a great job publishing it. So
You're getting neither the dough nor the questions.
yeah,
That's pretty sad.
yeah.
But to answer your question to me, which was what again?
Does the statue of Our Lady of Fatima need to be blessed in order to be avowed?
It should be. You should always have those things blessed. I don't know if it takes away or adds. Well, it certainly adds. Any blessing adds.
I mean, what does that mean, a valid sacramental, though? I mean...
Well, sacramentals are sources of grace. If something isn't a sacramental, it's not a source of grace.
Oh, I didn't know you would get a grace from a statue,
Yeah.
blessed statue. That's interesting.
Well, and your prayers to the being that statue represents.
Okay.
But anyway, get it blessed. It never hurts to have everything blessed.
Okay. All right. Well, kind of halfway through the show.
Oh boy, let's move.
We're getting there.
Let's move. I'm feeling older already.
Okay. Charles, since you believe... next question is from Cartrell Payne.
Cartrell Payne out there in Mississippi he was. I think he's moved to Tennessee.
Oh, you... Okay.
I know who he is.
Charles, since you believe in noblesse oblige, what are your thoughts on the United Fruit Company in Latin America? And another question, what are your thoughts on Batista, the man who is the dictator of Cuba?
Those are very good questions. The answer is I'm against them both.
You're against both?
Yeah. Batista was a liberal, and so were the clients of the United Fruit Company in Central America. As in Mexico, American interests in Latin America always backed the liberal. Now what does that mean?
Okay.
Because conservative and liberal in Latin America have very specific terms, very specific meanings around. a conservative might or might not be in favor of centralized government or more localized states' rights. But they were inevitably in favor of the church remaining the dominant power in the local, the national culture, retaining as much of the Spanish heritage as possible. And they looked to Europe for inspiration, especially Spain. The liberals, on the other hand, tended to be anti-clerical and Masonic. They would be, whatever the conservatives were, they were the opposite as far as states' rights versus the central government. And they looked to the United States for inspiration and arming.
What is the United Fruit Company? That sounds like a money laundering outfit for a cocaine drug lord to me.
No, it wasn't. The United Fruit Company was and is a company that has huge fruit plantations in Central America. Bananas and things like that. You know, Chiquita banana, and I'm here to reveal the way to spot a good banana is under the peel.
That's United Fruit Company?
That's United Fruit Company.
Okay.
Chiquita banana. Almost all the fruit that we get from Central America during the winter is either given us by Standard or United Fruit Companies. And in the days gone by, they and some other American companies were really make-or-breakers in terms of local politics in Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua. Especially Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. Not so much now, but they were. And their influence was very terrible. Batista, similarly, was a liberal dictator who overthrew the conservative president and ran Cuba for the last 20 years that she was not communist.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's better than Castro. That's about all you can say for him.
Yeah. Okay, next question is from Michael Rinhart. I recently watched y'all's video on Catalonian secession.
Did y'all?
And was wondering what y'all's opinion would be on Texas secession. Does that opinion change if Texas wished to establish a monarchy after separating from the other 49?
There's a yellow rose in Texas that I'm gonna see. Well, as a lover of this country, I would miss any one of her states, number one. Number two, if their reason for seceding were something ideological, like abortion, etc., I wouldn't be in a position to say much. You know, you've got to rejoin the Union so we can kill more Texan babies. I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would discourage their secession in any way up to and excluding fighting them. If they got a king, that would depend on the king.
It's not interesting. We're getting all this talk of secession. There's California secession. What was that thing California did where they draw this really strange map? Oh gosh, I forgot what they called it, but it was this movement to like split California into two pieces. What was? Man.
Well, I mean, the country is very polarized, and that was the local symbol of it. If you really want an idea of where the country is, don't look at the state maps of voting patterns. Look at the county maps for the 2016 election. And in New England, don't even look at the county maps. Look at the town maps. Then you'll see what was Trump country and what was Hillary country. And those are the lines of divide. Basically, the wealthier urban areas that are sucking up all the money and so forth from their hinterlands tend to support Mrs. Clinton. The areas that are being sucked dry tend to support Mr. Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying that's bad. I don't judge.
Right, next question is from Nathan Burns.
Okay.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Can you explain how the feudal system actually worked? Because there's a lot of pointing to it to show how bad the Middle Ages were. I've heard it was put into place to be able to have an immediate defense to stop Viking or other attacks, being as a kingdom is vast with a lag in time on the counterattack. Also, what is Charles's take on whether or not it worked, or if he liked it as a system?
Well, feudalism meant using academics from colleges as slave labor in the fields, which is why they hate it so much today.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It's because you had all these academics there, and they weren't good at anything. They didn't have any real skills, so all they could do was pull plows and dig ditches. They were very weak physically, so they would collapse under the strain by. They would go through academics in the fields in the Middle Ages. They were lucky if one of them lasted 40 minutes before he had to be buried. It was what?
Wow, they buried them quickly back in the day.
Oh, millions! They went through millions of academics.
Dying like flies.
It was terrible. Why do you think academics hate feudalism? It's because that visceral memory of having to work for a living. It was terrible. No, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I get tired of academic drill, which is funny, seeing I'm going to become one shortly. But both academic and a dribbler, no doubt. But seriously, the feudalism basically, at its most, basic, was the return of labor for protection. Sort of like the United States government and you. You don't get abused as long as you pay your income tax. And in return, you get fed, etc., unless you can't afford to, in which case you get welfare. Well, that is a bald explanation. Labor for protection. That's as basic as it gets. But of course, there was a lot more to it than that, because feudalism also saw the church as a full partner. And the parish church was the basic structure around which the village community centered. Now, mind you, an estate could have a number of parishes, and a great nobleman could have a number of great estates. And then, of course, you have the king, and overall the emperor. But as he implies here, the state was very notional. That is to say, people believed in it, but you'd have been hard put to find it.
Oh, okay.
And part of the problem was that it was difficult for them to respond to any outside threat. Hence the Vikings, hence the Magyars, hence the Moors, their piracy and all that. It had its benefits, it had its downside. No serf could lose his land. You couldn't drive them off, they owned it. I mean, they couldn't leave it, but you couldn't take it.
Interesting.
In the later Middle Ages, if a serf escaped from the farm and hid out in the city for a year and a day, he'd be a free man of that city.
Mm-hmm.
But hence the old saying in German, Stadtluft macht frei, which means city air makes free. But was it a good system? Well, as compared to what? As compared to our system? Well, it didn't produce as many conveniences as ours does. It didn't make everything plastic wrapped for our protection, the way our system does. There's a lot of things that we hold dear that they just did not do, did not have, or did not want.
Like?
Rapid social mobility. Of course, we don't have that either. We pretend we do.
What does that mean? Like a car?
No. Well, it can. But in particular, it means that you could go up to your mayor and say, I'm equal to you. And he'll smile and pat you on the head and go back to his mansion and leave you in the dust where you belong.
It depends on the city.
Bell.
The mayor of Alhambra is my dentist, and he told me he actually takes a pay cut whenever he goes to a meeting. So I wouldn't be trashing on how.
That's not L.A.
Okay, well, LA is a different city, yeah.
That's not Philadelphia. That's not Cleveland.
But it's not mayors as a rule.
No. And towns are different. But the bigger the city, the less control you have over anything and the less they care about you.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Alhambra is different because there are enough people running around here. And it's a small enough area.
So were you saying we had social mobility, or that's something we desire? What?
Well, we had a certain degree of social mobility, possibly more than they had in feudal times. But even our social mobility is it's more than a bit overrated.
It's a land of the opportunity.
It sure
I
was.
mean, if you work hard enough, you can achieve your dreams, which I believe actually.
It sure was.
I don't like the past tense.
Okay, go to your happy place.
Go to my happy place. Okay.
Are you back in your happy
I'm
place?
back in my happy place.
Do you see the Play-Doh?
Yes.
All right, make a bridge out of the Play-Doh. Don't you feel good?
I feel good.
Now take a little card and put it over the bridge.
Okay.
Isn't that better?
That's good.
Okay. Now come back to the present.
Okay.
Isn't everything better now?
Yes.
All right. Let's move on.
Okay. Next question is from Astro. Are imperialism and colonialism good? If so, should they be brought back? Should Catholic nations participate in them?
Well, first, you're presuming they ever left. I mean, what language were you speaking?
English?
Not some Indian dialect?
No.
Well, what kind of clothes are you wearing?
I'm wearing a suit?
Yeah, Western style.
Western style?
How about your seat? Are you sitting in the mud?
I'm not sitting in the mud.
Well, if you were sitting in the mud around the fire with war paint on, you'd be free of colonialism.
Okay.
If you avoided using any Western medicines, you'd be free of colonialism. Colonialism stole yellow fever from Panama.
What does that mean? It cured yellow fever from Panama?
Took it away! Yellow fever was the right of the Panamanians, and Western medicine deprived them of that right.
Was colonialism required in order to achieve these things?
Sure. People don't make changes like that in their everyday life unless they're made to.
Okay.
I mean, the truth of the matter is that imperialism and colonialism between them extended the European world across the globe.
It's resource and human exploitation. I mean, you like exploiting resources, you like exploiting people.
I've been exploited my whole life. What do you think my taxes are?
Oh, so now it's time to give some payback.
No, it's just the way it is. You always have the rulers and the ruled. The question is, what are the rulers like, and what do they do with their subjects? Do they give them anything in return for milking them? I know what my masters have given me.
Freedom.
Abortion, gay marriage. So I'd like to give them some of their own back.
Okay.
Well, it's true. I mean, the sad truth of the matter is that we are ruled by people who are as exploitative as any group that have ever lived. I mean, take for example, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I recently wrote a piece describing UN peacekeeping.
Uh-huh.
You know, the United Nations intervened in various failed states. Since the end of the Cold War, it usually works, sometimes it doesn't. But in addition to ending the conflict, if they can, they also come in to bring values.
Yeah.
Now, those values are LGBTQ equality or dominance. They are women's issues. They are just all sorts of things that excite Westerners, especially their Western ownership. And this stuff is pushed both on the third world peacekeepers themselves and on the populations that they're dealing with, secularism and all that. which is very often not only alien but disgusting
Yeah.
to the people involved. Well, what was the very first peacekeeping mission, multinational peacekeeping mission ever? It was the Crusades. And when I say that, people say, oh, well, they were imposing their religion. Yes, like our masters do.
Ah.
Because every rulership imposes its faith. The question is, do you share your master's religion?
I see.
When President Obama's mouth opened, and out came a shellacking of the president of Kenya for a lack of LGBTQ rights in his country, and a threat to cut off aid.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
That was humanitarian. Humanitarian efforts. Look at, they're just trying to promote contraception to save lives. I mean, do you want people to get AIDS?
They're just imposing their power on their subjects. They are colonial, they are imperialist. It's a question not of shall we have it, but what are they going to give us?
Mm.
It's like, don't you think it's terrible to have a society with a class structure? Every society has a class structure. Show me the nature of those classes, the ones at the top, particularly. Don't ask me, is imperialism or colonialism good? You're always going to have it. Ask me, what are they bringing their subjects?
Mm.
What are they bringing their newborn sullen peoples? You know, if you stop and think about it, the United Nations has in a lot of ways inherited the self-proclaimed mission of the 19th century imperial powers. Think about this for a second.
Okay.
Kipling wrote a poem, "Take up the white man's burden, send forth the best ye breed, go bind your sons in exile to serve your captives' need, to wait in heavy harness, unfluttered folk and wild, your new-caught sullen peoples, half devil and half child. Take up the white man's burden, the savage wars of peace, fill full the mouth of famine, and bid the sickness cease." Now change white man to UN, and that's the only line you have to change.
Wow.
Yeah. So to answer the question, imperialism and colonialism are merely facts of life. I know, reality. Oh, good. Go to your happy place. Go to your happy place. You see your happy place?
Yeah.
Are you safe?
Yeah.
Is there Play-Doh?
Yes.
Do you see the little animals, the stuffed animals all around the bed and everything? Is there a glass of chocolate milk? Okay, sip that chocolate milk down. You tasting it? Is it good? All right.
Yeah.
Now, are you happy again?
Yeah.
All right. Take the door, open it up, come back out and join us.
Okay.
Isn't that better?
Yeah.
See, it works. So, do I think the colonialism or imperialism of the Spanish, French, British, Dutch, Portuguese during the periods we call the period of exploration and the so-called 19th century period of colonialism, do I think those are beneficial? It's a different question.
Mm.
But the answer would be, since everything you have of any material benefit comes from that, and for an awful lot of the world, everything you've got of any spiritual benefit comes from that also. Yeah. For everyone who would otherwise be rolling in the dirt, eating grubs, and playing to the God Gitchy Gumi, it was good for you. You personally. Yeah, you benefited.
Okay. Next question is from Brian Koch.
Hi, Brian.
How do we refute the claim that, quote, the Catholic Church has killed more people in history than any other religion, end quote? It seems like this is always the automatic argument people use when debating or discussing the role of the Church in relation to other religions.
First, we stay awake.
What?
We stay awake as an act of courtesy toward whoever mouth or other orifice is making this claim.
Oh, okay.
You stay awake during their yapping.
Got it.
Because if you fall asleep, it looks bad.
Yeah.
Then once you've aroused yourself to something approaching consciousness, ask them if they know anything at all about Islam. Ask them if they know anything about the pyramids of skulls built by Genghis Khan and Tamerlane.
There were pyramids of skulls by the Aztecs too. There were giant. Oh man, there was a recent discovery a couple months ago.
Yeah.
That was horrific.
Yeah. So ask your person, whichever orifice you happen to have to address, ask him that. Secondly, you can point something else out. Take together all the people who've died for religion in the world. Their numbers are dwarfed by the numbers of those who've died in the name of freedom. Stop and think. From the American Revolution to the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars, the revolutions of 1848, the Latin American revolutions, the World War I, the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, the dead from the atom bomb, those murdered by the Nazis and by the communists, those murdered by by whacked-out regimes in the Third World, from Uganda to Cuba.
Yeah.
Those lost in the Chinese Civil War and the Russian Civil War. All these people died in the name of freedom. So that means freedom's evil by the questioner's standpoint.
The thing that I would say is okay, sure, Catholic Church killed a lot, but I tell you what, atheists are really catching up this past 100 years.
Oh, they passed.
Oh, they passed? I mean, at an alarming rate. I mean, they're just going gangbusters.
And as I say, freedom itself, the concept of freedom, has killed more than anybody else.
Yeah, and we're not even counting abortion, of course.
No. Oh, God.
Because, yeah,
you dump the abortions in. See, even I tend to...
Yeah, even that, because that's just our normal.
You dump the abortions in and forget it.
Forget it.
So, tell your questioner that, ask your questioner, if they're in favor of abortion, they have no point taking anybody to task for murder.
Yeah.
They just should, little mouth close, other orifice, whichever it may be, close, and go away.
Okay, next question is from Shane McDowell. Over the years we've asked you a lot of favorites, like what's your favorite TV show, what's your favorite, what are your favorite presidents? Somehow, only until now has someone asked this question, the ultimate favorite question for you.
All right.
I always wondered, out of all the monarchs in history, who is your favorite? And maybe more specifically, who's your favorite Scandinavian monarch?
Well, that is specific.
Do that first.
Well, my favorite Scandinavian monarch. That's tough.
Gustavus Adolphus?
No, strangely enough. It would have to be a toss-up between King Canute IV of Denmark, King Eric IX of Sweden, and King Olaf II of Norway. One of each, who are oddly enough the particular saints who brought the faith to their own country. If you asked me to choose between one of those three, it'd be very hard.
Okay. So, your favorite monarch of all time?
Aragorn.
Aragorn. And you can't do that.
Oh, I can't do that?
No.
Well, there again, it would be a tough call. By the way, I should say that one of my favorite monarchs, other than those of Scandinavia, was Gustavus III of Sweden, just so you know.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Not Gustavus Adolphus.
Oh, okay.
It's very tough. It would, again, down to three. Constantine the Great, who really put the church on the road. Theodosius the Great, who made the church the state religion of the empire, and who made baptism the entry into Roman citizenship. And Charlemagne, who amongst many other things is the father of the Carolingian Renaissance. But, beyond them, there are so many kings and monarchs I like. Elizabeth of Thuringia, Mary, Queen of Scots, Mary Tudor, Louis XVI, Charles X of France, Charles I of England, all the Jacobite kings in England, Franz Joseph of Austria, certainly Blessed Karl. In Spain, gosh, Ferdinand and Isabella, especially Isabella.
Yeah.
Charles V, the Emperor Charles V. It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Okay.
There's so many of them. But, as I say, that triad of Constantine, Theodosius, and, Blessed Constantine the 11th, the last emperor of Byzantium. Justinian is another favorite of mine. Tsar Alexander I of Russia.
Somehow you haven't said the Habsburgs.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, did you say
You missed
Habsburgs?
Franz
Okay,
Joseph.
okay, there we go.
You missed Franz Joseph, and you missed Blessed Karl of Austria.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So, there are even some of the Italians I like. Umberto II,
Oh, really? Wow.
King Francis of Naples. A lot of them. I mean, they're just a lot of likable characters among them.
Okay. Okay, for our final question today, Ian asks, is there any particular saint, both officially canonized or a possible future saint, that you would like to see be recognized as a doctor of the church?
We leave two.
Okay.
One is Blessed Duns Scotus, who was responsible for the Immaculate Conception being defined, really. But the other is Saint Louis-Marie de Montfort, mispronounced as Montfort, who was the great pioneer of devotion to Our Lady, the consecration to Our Lady, the slavery to Our Lady. And the great, we've talked about his books before, but he should definitely be a doctor of the church.
That's my pick, and that leads perfectly into our book for today, True Devotion to Mary.
Different editions.
Yeah, this book is so important. What I wanted to highlight, this book is so important that my family has 3 different versions of this book, which is not the case for any other book other than the Bible.
No.
That's how important this book is. We have 3 different versions. This is the ultimate Marian book.
It is, and the what's beautiful about it is that any kind of Marian devotion you can think of, the rosary, which is central to it, the scapular, any of the several Marian scapulars, but the Merlin in particular, the miraculous medal, anything like that, fits naturally and normally into the program of Saint Louis-Marie de Montfort has.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and this is true. You might have some Eastern devotion to the Virgin or something. Doesn't matter. It slides right in.
Okay. This book is divided into various segments. The first 5 chapters are on the 5 truths of Mary. Then there's the interior and exterior practices of Marian devotion, and then there's 8 motives for doing the perfect consecration to Jesus by Mary. And I want to talk about the perfect consecration, too, because I want to convince everybody to do the perfect consecration. My favorite motive, when I read this book, the motive that sold me on the perfect consecration, on doing it, that I should do it, was the 5th motive, which I'm going to read right now.
All right.
The 5th motive is, where St. Louis states, this devotion is an easy, short, perfect, and secure way of arriving at union with our Lord, in which the perfection of a Christian consists. What do you think that means? Easy, short, perfect, secure way?
Well, it's easy, short, and perfect for someone of his era, when they kept the fasting and abstinence very strictly, when people did penances, etc. It's actually a lot harder for us because we don't do any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we fast and abstain, most of us, twice a year.
When he said that, because he does explain it. He does explain actually each adjective: easy, short, perfect, secure.
He does.
He
goes into great detail about all the points he makes.
Now, as I understand it, he says it's easy and short because you're going to get more graces for doing the total consecration. You're going to get more graces. So I don't know if our audience is if they're anything like me, there's you kind of sometimes hit plateaus spiritually, and you go to confession, and you're saying the same stuff every time, and you're plateauing, and it's like, gosh, I can't overcome this. Well, the consecration is going to help you do that. That's what it means by easy, short, perfect, because it's going to help you leap over these hurdles, and it's quicker.
And those hurdles, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things people often complain, I just confess the same thing over and over.
Right.
Now, on one level, you might as well say, I get dirty every day, why should I keep showering?
Right.
But on the other, you nevertheless should strive to stay clean.
Well, also, too, I mean, there's different levels of cleanliness. There's, going in the mud compared to, you develop clean habits.
Yeah. If you don't roll in the mud, you won't get as dirty.
Right.
If you don't hang out at a quote-unquote gentleman's club,
right,
you'll be assailed by lust less.
Yeah. So, so this is why I read, not why I read the book, but why I did the consecration, because I'm sick of the hurdles, and you're still there's still going to be hurdles.
Yeah.
It's not like
there's no magic.
There's no magic involved. It's a slow process. I did mine going on 2 years. I did because it's 33 days. It's a process.
Yeah.
It's actually a process. But I did mine. You do 33 days of preparation, and then it leads up to a Marian feast day. Mine was on Immaculate Conception, because I have a special attachment to Immaculate Conception. Did you do? What day did you do it?
I culminated on August 22nd, which was the Feast of the Immaculate Heart of Mary in the traditional calendar.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
And that's the anniversary of my having done that. That was back in 1980. I can do this. I can figure this out. 85. So 85. That would be 33 years ago.
I was 1 year old.
No, it's true. You were. And gosh, just thinking of the amount of time since then. And one of the things, not just about St. Louis Marie de Montfort, although him too, and all these devotions, is how they stick by you as friends as the years go by. You can turn back to them, and not just reading, but your scapular, everything.
Yeah.
Is like a lifelong friend who's with you on the road while other people drop off.
Yeah.
But he's a very good guide, and he would be a tremendous doctor of the church, I think.
Yeah, I've saved this for the third to last episode, because this is one of the few books, like if you could buy, if I could pick the books that a person buys from our store, I would pick like the top two, this book, and then, well, it's kind of tough, but I would actually say Faustina's Diary. And I love to see when people buy these books, because I know they're on a path.
Yeah.
And I know the power that these books have, the impact, the profound impact that these books can have on a person's life.
And they can. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, despite all the annoyances and difficulties out there in the world, you turn to the writing of someone like St. Louis Marie de Montfort, and we've been joking about your happy place.
Yeah.
This is a real happy place. Someone who's knowledgeable about the things of the Spirit, for whom they're real, and who can get them across to you.
I've you had me go to my happy place several times. It's something you need to do. Likewise, these books, these spiritual classics, these Catholic spiritual Catholics, Thomas à Kempis' Imitation of Christ, Diary of Faustina, True Devotion, a bunch of other saints' writings. I personally, I'm sure a lot of people, but you reread these because they're so valuable. their value is so immeasurable that you can't even digest everything. You can't soak up everything.
That's why you have to read them slowly, and even then you don't get it all up.
That's right. That's what I had to do. I actually, in starting these books that I've just mentioned, I initially went in reading them normal, but then quite quickly I thought, okay, I actually can't do this because that's actually a disservice to myself.
Yeah.
Because they're so valuable. Just one chapter a night is like a meditation.
It's true. It's true. So it's it's true with Tom Garanger. It's true.
Oh yeah.
With any decent spiritual reading, you have to savor it. You have to take time over it. But at any rate, well, there we are for the books.
There we are. We're done for this episode.
I suppose I should tell you why I don't go to my safe place. My happy place.
Why?
I don't go to my happy place.
Why?
It's the bar in The Shining.
The bar in The Shining with the
what? With Lloyd. Yeah, that's my happy place.
What the?
Yeah, I know. I was kind of surprised myself. I mean, I just go to my happy place, get feeling good and all that. And there was Lloyd behind the counter. Good evening, Mr. Coulombe, the usual. And I thought, I better come back.
Yeah, because he's going to try to convince you to kill everybody.
Well, he would if I were what's his name?
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, but I'm not. It was a little eerie, that's all.
I would say.
The well-dressed ghosts were very well-dressed. It's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Lovely place. It's just that, I was aware that, and maybe I was a little worried Jack himself would come into the bar. Lloyd's happy, by the way, says his best.
Have you ever gone to that hotel? That is one of the most haunted places in America. That place is the Stanley Hotel, I think?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And interestingly enough, this, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, notice how this is coming at the end of a very holy and spiritual thought.
Yeah.
But we're here anyway,
Yeah.
so might as well drive it through.
Yeah.
It's quite true. King was inspired to write The Shining while he was staying there. And it's the only place he ever encountered anything he considered phenomena. He saw the ghost of a girl.
He did see a ghost of a girl.
He's never had any experiences like that in his whole life, except that one. And that's pretty deep into his career.
Wow.
So, remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to understand the world as it is today, think of that tremendous Mother Goose rhyme. As I was walking up the stairs, I met a man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. I do so wish he'd go away.
That's really creepy. That's a Mother Goose rhyme? That's terrible. That's horrible.
What do you mean?
That's so scary.
You think
I wish he would go away. This ghost is... Oh my
He's not
goodness.
saying it's a ghost, just saying it wasn't there.
Okay, I find that incredibly creepy. Particularly for a Mother Goose rhyme.
That's the kind of Mother Goose rhymes I grew up on.
Well...
Goosey, goosey, gander, where do you wander? Upstairs, downstairs, and in my lady's chamber. Pussycat, pussycat, where have you been? I've been to London to see the Queen. Pussycat, pussycat, what did you there? I chased a mouse under a chair.
Okay.
You didn't have rhymes like that?
I don't remember. Maybe I did, but I don't remember. So.
I told you the version of Robin Hood I learned. Not Robin Hood, Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, the one where,
Yeah.
The moral of the story is when you're stupid, bad things happen.
When you're stupid, bad things happen.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this almost penultimate, but not quite, podcast. If you've heard or seen anything today that disturbs you, I suggest you withdraw to your happy place. But if you run into Lloyd the bartender, you may not want to stay there too long.